Hi, my name is Mike Cromwell.
My name is Brian DeVault.
And welcome to Whiteboard Wednesday. We're here to pick up on our last episode. For those who've watched, we've for the last couple of weeks been talking about project management and how critical project management is for the success of any kind of technical project implementation. The more complex the project, the more critical project management is. So when we're talking about managed IT services, hypercritical, and the larger the enterprise, the more important it is. So Brian, 2 episodes ago, we talked about the 8 tenets of project management. When we broke down the first step, which is project initiation, on the last episode. Now we're going into the second part. So walk us through the components of planning the project and why that's important as a foundational part of the project management plan.
So like you said, after the project initiation, we're going to go into the phase where we're planning the project. And so I've got some steps up here that we've written down that talks through how we handle the process. So the first step in planning the project is refining the scope. So this is where we're really digging into the details. We're having detail-oriented conversations with the client about what the project is set out to accomplish. We're talking numbers of devices, assets, people, technology, whether that's software as a service or on-premise technology. All of those things are being defined. We're moving on to team selection. And here we're not just talking about resources like an engineer here or a design build architect here. What we're talking about are named resources. So we're assigning names into the pool. These are the specific people we're going to use during the duration of the project.
Does that also include people on the client side?
Absolutely.
So that you're defining the roles for both your team,
both internal and external. And if there are any third parties involved, so maybe it could be vendors, right? You could have a vendor involved as well. You may have a dependency in there as well. So and we talk about resourcing. Okay, so this is who, how many, when and where, right? What are the people we're going to need? What are the materials we're going to need? Are there dependencies such as hardware being delivered that we want to structure it around? Those types of answers are what we're looking for. Looking at the project budget. So we're putting another level of detail in. So we had a budget established during project initiation. Now we're really putting some detail behind that. We might even be talking about when that money is spent or when invoices are generated and what they're for and so forth. And then going into a detailed timeline. So now we're putting dates down. It says we're going to be finished with the first set of tasks on Wednesday and then the next set on Friday. And we're really getting that schedule dialed into a day-by-day granular basis. We're starting to conduct some risk analysis. So as we drive the detail into that project, it's going to allow us to see, okay, we've got a lot going on in week 2 and going into week 3. So we know there's inherently more risk involved there. And so we might see how we mitigate that by maybe having a backup resource, something like that where we can help mitigate some of that risk. And then finally putting that quality assurance plan in place. So throughout the duration of the project, you're going to want to ensure that you're maintaining very high quality at every step. And so this is where you put a plan together so that you can address some of those issues. Things like performance to budget reports, performance to timeline reports. Those are examples of QA activities that we're going to produce throughout the course of the project, but we're establishing those parameters during this planning phase.
This step can vary depending upon complexity of project, but it is a general rule of thumb. Simple to highly complex projects, how long does this step typically take?
This should be 1 to 2 days.
What happens if you don't get this part right?
If you've got the wrong team defined up front or the wrong resources engaged, then that's going to be a major problem when you reach the execution phase, which is our next phase. Things like refining the scope, so the number of assets, the technology involved, all of those things. If we miss the mark there, then we potentially fail on the overall project.
Critical step is the foundation. Stay tuned for next week's Whiteboard Wednesday, where we're going to dive into execution.
That's right.
All right, look forward to it. Stay tuned for next week's Whiteboard Wednesday.